Hello, good evening, and welcome. We are here for our third session of the Rototom Sunsplash Reggae University 2016. This year marks the 10th edition of the Reggae University. We've been very pleased and privileged to hold sessions here with some of the most legendary performers of Jamaican popular music over the years. And this afternoon, we have a very special guest with us who has been consistently one of the most unique voices of roots reggae, a man with a very individual take on the music, a man who you could say had a revolutionary dream which he brought to reggae music, and he'll be sharing his words with us. Just to remind you who the other panelists are with me here, just next to me you have Pierre Tosi, a broadcaster and journalist from Bologna, Italy. At the far end of the table you have Pete Lilly and Ellen Collings, the joint editors of Rhythm magazine from Cologne, Germany. And you have myself, David Katz, author and broadcaster, based in London, author and journalist, primarily. And also tuning in, we have thousands of other listeners joining us on the live streaming. So welcome to each and every one. Now, Pablo Moses, can you...
Blessed.
Yes, greetings. Can you tell the good people gathered here at our Reggae University at Rototom Sunsplash a little bit about your formative days? Where did you grow up, and how did you become involved in singing and music more generally?
Well, first of all, greetings, brothers and sisters, blessed. I was born in a place in Jamaica they call Manchester. It's a parish of Manchester, southern Manchester, in a little town that was, I don't think anyone really know of that town, Plowden district. I grew up in Plowden district, and then after that I went to Kingston, yes, and I went to school there. Then I went back to Plowden district and Alligator Pond. Then I left from there, went to Rose Corner. It's all in Manchester. Then I came back to Kingston. I started my recording in 1975. That's when I did my first song, I'm on a Grasshopper.
Okay, well, before we go any further, let's just remind ourselves how unique and exceptional that track was. Give us a bit of track one, please, from the CD. Can we have some volume on the...
That man saw I man eating I man cali weed. That man should never call Babylon to spoil I man I feed. I man don't want to cause any wrong. I man only eating weed and thinking of love strong. To I man, that man a fish, that man there love water. I man, I love Caribe. I man a grasshopper. That man loves sea and fish bird. I man, I love to keep high right in our soul. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm on a grasshopper. Grasshopper.
So now there's a lot of people in the audience here who English is not their primary language,
Yes.
and then there are others who speak English and maybe grapple with the patois. So
Yes.
can you enlighten the people here? What is that song actually about?
It's about smoking of herb. And I put it in, said eating because, you know, grasshopper like grass. So as a herbalist, we love the grass. So it's a term that was used before in the 70s. Herb was like, hey, it's grass, you know. So I said, hey, I'm on a grasshopper. I love herbs. So.
And how is it that you came to record the song? And where did you record it and who with?
I recorded this song at Black Ark Studio. That was with Lee Perry as the engineer. It was produced by a gentleman by the name of Jeffrey Chung. We did this song like one day. One day it was done. We did the recording and the mixing the same day.
So you've just mentioned some of the most important figures of Jamaican popular music from this era.
Yes.
So Jeffrey Chung, the band leader of the Now generation.
Yes.
And then Lee Scratch Perry, who had that exceptional Black Ark studio.
Yes.
What was it like working with each of them at that time, and how is it that you began working with Jeffrey Chung?
Well, I live in Vineyard Town. As a matter of fact, I still reside there. Jeffrey Chung was living in Vineyard Town. They were, you know, accompanied musicians. They play keyboard, guitars, and so forth. So basically, I start to go to him and show him what I have, and if he's interested. And he said, hey, that particular song about I'm on a grasshopper, it's unique. It's not everyday saying, it's something new. So yes, they were interested. So the day I was waiting on Jeffrey Chung for almost a year to come through, but he didn't. So I also got his brother that was interested in the song. His name is Chin, that had the Aquarius recording studio in Halfway Tree.
You mean Herman Chinloy, the producer?
Chinloy, yes. And Jeffrey Chung, they're Chinese, so they call each other and talk, and then Jeffrey Chung said, oh no man, we gotta go now. So he came today and said, we're gonna go straight to the Black Ark studio and record this song now, because he didn't want Chin to get it. So that's how we went to the Black Ark studio, and we got Clive Hunt on bass, Robbie Lynn on keyboards, and have Michael Murray, which he passed away, very good guitarist. He played the lead guitars, and you have Mikey Chung, which is Jeffrey Chung brother, playing the rhythm guitar, and some of the keyboard parts was played by Jeffrey Chung himself.
And I think it's very interesting that you recorded this song at the age, if I'm right, like 27.
Yes, 27,
which is,
28.
you know, for the first song in this business, kind of late. So what was it like to get a foot into it? When I'm right, you did a lot of auditions before, several studios. So what was it like to finally, you know, get there and record the song?
It was not easy, because I've been to like Treasure Isle studio, I've been to Coxsone studio, I even sleep outside overnight in order to get an audition. Treasure Isle and Bond Street, and the gentleman that was doing the audition, he was saying, oh no, he has list tongue, and I was like, list tongue, so it's all right. So anyway, nothing didn't came through that time. So I've been trying for a couple of years to get into a studio, but it never materialized until that moment in 1975.
Okay, so and then, if I understand correctly, the song made quite an immediate impact in Jamaica. Is that true?
Yes, it was also, I mean, banned, airplay was banned, and the radio stations didn't want to play it. But the people on the streets and the people of the sound system, they played it. And the people, like when it reached abroad, especially in the USA and in here in Europe, in England, etc., everyone was, could relate to it in a certain way because they use the term as a grasshopper, as a grassman. So,
Indeed. Now, I understand that an album project comes out of this connection.
yes.
But maybe first you had some other singles that also made a fairly dramatic impact in Jamaica.
Yes, after I did I'm on a Grasshopper, I did a song named We Should Be in Angola. And that was banned too, airplay, because I did not like the happenings that was happening in Jamaica and also what was happening in Angola in Africa at that time.
Okay, well, let's remind ourselves, this is track 4 from the CD. So let's take a listen to a bit of this track, and then you can tell us about what you were expressing in the lyrics.
Oh yeah. Oh my people, you got to see now. Fighting here in Jamaica, it's a shame. My brother, destroying our culture by killing one another away from the gates of Africa, giving way to the intruder. I said we should be in Angola. Oh yes, my brothers now, we should be in Angola. Oh yes, my sisters, to drive away the intruders. I say from the land of our forefathers, I pray. Instead of fighting ourselves here, for our Indians peace of square, fighting here in Jamaica, it's a shame. My brother, yeah, destroying our culture by killing one another away from the gates of Africa, giving way to the intruder. I said.
Thank you. Thank you.
So maybe you can just remind the people, because there was something that had happened where Jamaica, or a certain
Yes.
sector of Jamaicans, were aligning themselves with Angola and that independent struggle that was happening there.
Yes. Also, there was a lot, you had a little kind of political turmoil that was happening in Jamaica at that time, where you find that brothers shooting each other for different political parties. And I don't tell you how I wrote that song. I was on my way to Jamaica School of Music because I started to go to Jamaica School of Music to further myself musically. At that time, I just started to play my guitar. I was really self-taught most of the cases, and while I was there, sitting down with my brethren Bona and some other Rastafarians, and I heard the news about the political fighting was going on and so forth in other parts of West Kingston and so forth. And I just took a piece of paper and just brown paper, and I just started to write it, and that's where the song came about. And after I wrote it, I just went and applied the chords to it, and then that's it. That was something new. Then we went to, oh, by the way, we went to Aquarius Studio to record that song too, because at that time Jeffrey Chung was not in Jamaica, and the producer, which was part of the company, was Clive Hunt. working with that company before Soundtrack Records. And they liked the song, so they say, hey, we gotta put out another 45 quick, man. So that's how that 45 came about. The bass line was played by Robbie Shakespeare. The drums was played by Michael Richards. Keyboard parts, etc., was played by the man that a lot of people know by Organ D, which is Tyrone Dodie. He played for and was part of the good arrangement for Bob Marley and the Wailers for many years. He's still my good friend. He's still good, you know. And now I know that he's back in Jamaica because he was over here for a while, but now he decided to return to Jamaica. And I'm happy for him that he returned to Jamaica safe and sound and can still contribute to the roots reggae music of Jamaica.
Pablo, you did start to do music in a very rough time for Jamaica. Like
Yes.
there was this political friction.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how this very rough situation did influence you in writing music and lyrics, lyrics especially.
I think the whole system of not just, like Peter Tosu says, shitsym, it's really a shitsym, really, not just in Jamaica, but internationally. The way that they guide the system, all of that pushed me to really write those songs and that song at that time. That part of the song, instead of I was saying, hey, why fight here in Jamaica when we have our homeland, which is Africa, is being invaded by foreigners. So, hey, why kill my brother and my sister here for a land that is not even ours? You know, when
Yeah, because of course at the time Angola was being invaded by South African
Yes.
apartheid racists.
Yes.
In fact.
Yes. So that song just emerged, and you know, I think it was the right time for that song.
Pablo, I have another question. I remember on a previous conversation we had before, after one of his show at the Rototom, you were mentioning a particular art school, a very progressive place you had access at that time.
Yeah, that was a cultural training center, which is where now it's named the Edna Manley School of Arts. It was first named the Cultural Training Center. It was established in the 70s, where you found that they gave opportunities to individuals that could not afford to pay the tuition fees, you know, because in those days, most poor musicians, they had to be at Alpha Academy, which was, you know, then they get to, or if you have money, then you could go to the Jamaica School of Music. And so I didn't have the money to go there, but there was a scholarship that, you know, they were giving away if you could pass the audition. Mm-hmm. And I was fortunate enough to pass the audition, because when I got this old box guitar from my friend, I repaired it on Charles Street, and as I got it, I went down that King Street. There was a music shop down there named Bancroft and Hilton. I just went there and bought me a rudiments of music. Mm-hmm. And I also bought a guitar cards book. So I took it home, and I just started to learn how about them, the lines and space and the different key signatures, etc., the basics in music. And I was fortunate. I passed the audition, and I got accepted in Jamaica School of Music. I went there for 2.5 years. You know, the time I was waiting to do the album after that, a song.
Indeed. Yes.
And if I got it right, it was a time of the democratic socialism, the Michael Manley era.
And so therefore there was an opportunity more that existed for the poor class of people, because it was also the time when they passed the law that Rastafarians they could get to attend any schools that they want to attend to, and they should be accepted in society as a contributor to society too. Not that because we wasn't getting the opportunity as Rastafarians. Rastafarians had to be like previously. You had to be like in the gully or living in the woods, and it was like a crime for you to be a Rasta man. And the police, there was laws before that say that police has the right to even hold you and trim you and lock you up. And Rastafari was branded as the black heart man, which they said that we would take out the heart of people and so forth. But when they mean that we took away the heart, it was not a physical way. It was more whenever you sit with the Rastafarians and the way that the elders reason with you, your mind start to open up to the realities of the situation that surround you. So it was a good time for Rastafarians and for poor Jamaican people, because it was free education and if you were poor and you passed the common entrance, what they had introduced that time, then you had the opportunity to go to any school that you had requested, as long as you passed to their standard. So that's why you find that the blacks now start to infiltrate all the schools, the high schools in Jamaica. Before, it was only a selected set of people could attend those schools. So I think that democratic socialism in Jamaica was a productive and contribution to the population of Jamaica. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that went on and people don't really understand, because this is a part of democracy, which I think is hypocrisy in a sense, because most of the people that defended democracy and still defends democracy as leaders, they are mostly rich and they get the chance to secure their wealth much better than another person would. So, and in democracy there was still segregation, and there still exists segregation in the world. And as Rastafarians, we came and not to destroy people, but to destroy oppression on the people, and to let the people see, hey, there is another way. You don't have to be the puppet of society. You can be an individual that have your own beliefs and at the same time contribute in a positive way.
Yeah, go ahead, Pete.
What I find interesting, at least today when I talk to Rastafarians, they often say they don't want to deal with politics, and they keep politics away, but it seems to be different with you. Your lyrics are also have always been kind of political in a way.
Yeah, well, I mostly write basically on cultural and political and economic situations. I was coming from I came from a very poor part of Jamaica. You didn't have no running water. You had to carry water on your head to go and fill the drum pan in order for you to drink and to bathe. You had to go to the forest to look your wood in order to cook. There was no gas stove, there was no kerosene stove. You had to look the wood, and the wood would make you can cook right through the whole week. And on weekends you go again and look the wood again to cook, because if you don't look the wood, you won't eat. So if you don't carry water, you can't drink water, you can't bathe. Most of my people, they were farmers, small farmers, and they would plant the yam and the banana and the sweet potato and the gungo peas and so forth, and the corn, So I grew up as a country boy. Go to Kingston, back to country, go to Kingston, back to country. It's always when I go back to the country, it's like I get rejuvenation. It's a totally different feel than when I'm in Kingston. So I'm always proud to say I'm a country boy.
Right.
A lot of people would say, no, I'm a Kingstonian. I say, hey, I'm a country boy. It's all right. Because at least if something happened to me in Kingston, I can go back to the country. Unfortunately for the Kingstonian, if something happened there for them, they have nowhere else to go. They have to stay in Kingston in the slums. So
Now, just to remind everybody here, in a few moments, we will have the opportunity for you to put your questions to our special guest, Pablo Moses. But we do have a few other songs and concepts to discuss before then. And so, Pablo Moses, the impact of your early work, eventually you end up, the importance filters through overseas and you end up with a contract with Island Records.
yes, yes.
But before that, there's one other track that I wanted to play before we move into the core of the Island period. And again, it's a song that has certainly a forceful message in terms of its content, in terms of socio-political relations or identity. But anyway, give us a bit of track number 3. And again, it's the patois is pretty thick on this one, so you're going to have to decipher it after.
Take back your name and divide the I name. I and I don't want this your name. Chinese name Chin and Chung. Macintosh came from Scotland. Indian name Raja and Gabaska. I man sure Smith no come from Africa, oh no. You hear what I say, oh no. My brothers and sisters, no. Whoa, whoa, whoa. When I reach Ethiopia, I feel embarrassed. After telling I dreams, I name Morris. Because the name I have is for a European, not the name of a black African. So take back your name and divide the I name. I and I don't want this your name. Chinese name, Jin and Chang.
Thank you.
Yes, so just remind the good people here at Rototom Sunsplash, what is the title of that track and what is the song really saying?
Well, the title of that track is Give I Fi Name. That means give me my real name. It's a Jamaican term when you give I Fi. It's a patois. Some people will say, so-called elitists, they will say it's broken English, but I as Rastafarian, we say it's broken African, because our ancestors came first with the African tongue, and they were forced to speak the English language. So in Jamaica, it's a common language. When a kid is born, no matter where they're born, whether uptown or downtown, they speak patois. They might try to avoid it, but they do speak patois. And the reason why they would try to avoid it is because taking English in school is compulsory. It's mandatory. So there's no way that you can escape it. But you can still retain your roots by identifying yourself as an Afro-Jamaican speaking patois. So it is a language in Jamaica. If you go there right now, I know if you're not with someone that speaks patois, it is difficult for you to understand the people on the street. So I let them know, say, listen, hey, the name that we have, Morris, Henry, Smith, I mean, those names are British names. None of those names are African names. So you should get your real name. And that's why I said, take back your name. That means take back your name that you gave me and give me my real name and give I a name. And because I said in the song, if I reach Ethiopia and tell my brethren that I named Morris, I must feel embarrassed because, hey, I'm an African and I have a name, Morris. It's not. Just I say Smith. Smith don't come from Africa. We know that. Smith is European. It's a British name. So,
Right.
so that's why every one of my children that I have, I give them the first and the second name that is African name. So at least they get to identify themselves with their roots, and their roots is from Africa. It don't matter what we want to deny, just like Peter just said, it doesn't matter where you come from, as long as you're a black man, you're an African.
Okay.
And he was my good friend too.
Thank you. So, moving up to this core phase with Island Records, which brought you to a new audience outside of Jamaica, I would say for me, when I listen to this music now, I'm struck by the futuristic quality of a lot of it. So play us a little bit of track 5, a very enigmatic record, another very unique record from the catalog of Pablo Moses, and we'll see what you can tell us about it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so what is that song actually about?
Well, that song is basically about liberty and how you live and who you associate with, what crowd you keep, I mean, what you're involved in. And it's like I use some extracts from the Bible, biblically speaking, and then also I use colloquial proverbs, which are proverbs that we create in our own, that is in the country. So it is showing that, hey, man, you got to live up, try to live clean. Don't be negative. Don't go there and exploit your brother. Don't think about killing him or, it's like, think about uplifting him. He or she in a positive way.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, starting to run out of time, so we are going to switch it over to the question and answer section. We just got 2 very brief clips to play just to see what else we can tease out from Pablo Moses. So give us a little bit of track 7, very briefly. Now, Listening back to that track, you know, your early work was very apart from what was happening in Jamaica at the time. Yes. And then coming into the 80s, you maintain that same outlook where what you're doing is very different from everybody else. Tell us a little bit about the actual style we were hearing on that song, In the Future, and how it came together.
Well, you know, when I noticed the situation, not just domestically in Jamaica, but internationally, and the exploitation of the masses of the world, the poor set of people, I see where money take place over, I would say, natural stuff and naturality. And if you notice, there has been an invasion of a lot of artificial drinks and juices that people get, and they get that. So I'm just saying that, and the cost of living is high for poor people. So if it's high now, then at that time, so can imagine what it's going to be now, and it is even more expensive now. So my predictions was correct. And I must say that I'm the first person that even ventured into the use of vocoder in Jamaica when I made that album In the Future. And I think that Third World came after, and it started to get popular in that respect. But I think that because I'm looking for a futuristic type of way that like Star Wars and so forth, the sound, the voices, so it would good to incorporate that type of voice within the song. And that's how that song came about. It's like telling the people, hey, look out later on. Hey, it's going to be awful. It's going to be terrible, you know. It's going to be worse than it is right now. And it has become worse than it is right now. Okay. There's been more bombing in the world. There's more confusion. There's more children dying mercilessly by so-called richer countries or dictatorships or what it is. But it's a continuous struggle for the masses of the world to survive under capitalism, which I know. I think capitalism is a part of imperialism. And they only fool you. Hey, you can get rich like me. Come on, get rich like you. You mean I work for you to get you richer, and I'm getting poorer. That's how the situation is. I mean, if you check it out, the rich is always getting richer, and the poor is getting poorer. So, you know, yes. I just like to, I don't know, I just like to do things that's different from everyone else. I like to tease the mind of the population, and, you know, let you think that there is something else to think about, and what are your contributions to this world to make it successful, and we living together in harmony, and doesn't matter the complexion that we have or the culture that we have. There's various cultures in this world, but at the same time, no culture should try to impose their culture on another nation, I think.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so obviously you've gone on to make quite a number of other records since that time and tour the world and so on. But in the interest of time, because we're starting to run out of time in this session, I am going now to open things up for question and answer. So this is your opportunity. Okay, I see there's a question at the back already. Do we have the roving microphone? Yes, for the gentleman in the hat.
Welcome back to Rototom, Pablo, and good to see you at university.
Thank you, ma'am.
My question has to do with the statement you made in Brussels about 5 years ago when you told me your main achievement in life was that you could afford, through music, to educate your children.
Oh, yes, yes.
And as we're at university today, I was wondering, is it still the same, and why?
Well, I would say that part of anyone as a family, as a human being, if you have your children, you want the best for them. we parents, and I know that a lot of parents here, we make a lot of sacrifices for our children. Things that we never get the opportunity to have or acquire. I think that our main goal is for our children to acquire those things and to really reach a certain heights in life. I think that those were my main objective, especially when it comes to my children. I try to provide whatever I make for them to further themselves in life. Hey, because when you check it out, they're fresh, brand new humans with a brain that need to be fertilized or be with proper instructions, or not negativities at the same time, because negativities exist out there. So you have to try to put them on a good path, in life. I try my best, and I think I'm being successful in that respect. And I know a lot of people can say the same for themselves too, in that respect. You want your children to be better off than you are.
Thank you for that question.
You're welcome.
Yes. And who wants? Yes, we have a question over here.
Hello, Pablo.
Blessed.
I wanted to ask you, when did you first realize in your life that you wanted Rastafari to be an essential part of your life? Yeah?
I can't. Could you repeat that for me, please?
If you could tell us, when was it the first time in your life that you realized you wanted Rastafari to be an essential part of your life? Yeah?
Well, I must say that from back in the 60s as a boy, and younger, I was always observing what the Rastafarians was going through. And when I get the chance to sit down with them and talk to them, they were enlightening me. They were educating me about myself, my ancestors, and the path that we should choose in order to keep our identity. And I must say that Rastafarians and the way of Rastafari has really been impactful on my life, and I have no regrets about it. And I would appreciate it from one. You don't have to be Rasta to take some of the Rastafarian teachings in order to really survive in life. So I don't think Rasta is saying that, hey, you have to be Rasta. No. It's always about equal rights and justice. And Rastafarians, we fight against oppression. We fight against oppression from no matter if you're black or you're white or you're Chinese or Indian. We don't partial, because you're not partial. And you have to seek for the truth. The truth is the main thing. And the Bible said the truth shall set you free. So in pursuance of the truth, I think that you will be satisfied. Even if you don't have monetary wealth, you will be satisfied because you're being honest with you and you're being honest with your brothers and sisters. I think that's a good accomplishment.
Yes. Yes, thank you for that pertinent question.
Blessed.
Yes, and who else would like to put the next question to? Yes, there's one at the back.
Greetings, Pablo.
Blessed, give thanks.
Towards the end of the last century, you had to take some time out of music because you had an accident.
Yes.
And you seem to be fully recovered.
I have to give thanks.
How have you been able to consolidate your musical legacy? Because I know you had to take some time out of releasing for a while.
Well, I have to give thanks to John, my persistency and the support of my family. When I went through that accident and I was like in a coma for almost 2 weeks. But through the Spirit of Jah and I would say my strength I overcome. And when I was released from the hospital, it was like, it's a brand new, it's like starting all over. I mean, I came out in wheelchair. I couldn't walk properly because it was like my brain, there was a blood vessel that broke in my vein. So they had to drill my skull and take out the bad blood that was in there, that was making me sick. So, and I came out, I just get up every morning and start to wipe down my old car, wipe it down, and still take my children to school, because I wipe it down, and when I'm going to the car, I have to be, I was going into pains, but gradually after I start to do continuous wiping down exercise, bending and so forth, my physical self start to return, and then eventually, my mind was there, because even when I was in a coma, I was also having many visions and dreams, and in the vision, most of the time the dreams that I would have is like this big green snake is trying to catch me, and I would fly away. Whenever it came closer to me, I would fly away. Even if I would fly sometime and go on a mountain top. I would fly and go in the top of a building. So it's like death was lurking there. But by the spirit of the Jah and the determination and the love that I had for my family and for the people of the world, Jah said, no, it's not your time. It's not your time. And I came out and I started to write again. And I wrote the songs, and I did the album, and then I just continue working. I have to just say, is the spirit of Jah is working,
Yes. Thank you for that question.
You're welcome.
And who else would like to put the next question to our special guest, Pablo Moses? And we are running out of time, so we've still got time for maybe one or two last questions. So I know all of you must have some question in your mind that you've been wanting to put to our guests, and now is the chance to do it. Any last questions? Yes.
Blessed love, Pablo Moses.
Give thanks, Rastafari.
We had some reggae artists here who reported about their bad experience with Island Records. So I just would like to know about their experiences with Island Records and Chris Blackwell.
Man, trust me. It was not easy. It was not easy. I think that what Island did was make sure that they got certain artists that was saying similar things, like the artists that they wanted to promote. So what they do is sign you and then shelf you. I went to the island with a song which came in the top 5 reggae album in Europe and in the world, and yet still it was not promoted. I also came out with Pave the Way for Island, which you heard that track there, Proverbs Extractions, which are a good set of musicians, I must say, very good set of Val Douglas and bass, and always Robbie Lynn is always there, so, and Jeffrey Chung, which was the last album I did, but I have no regrets that I discontinue working with Island. So I think I should leave it there.
Okay. Now the last question, there's a woman in the front here had said she had a question, and then we'll have a few announcements before we break for the next session.
Greetings, Rastafari.
Rastafari.
What 3 words would you impart in terms of your contribution to the planet?
What 3 words?
In terms of your music, what 3 words could you impart as part of your plight to spread the message, essentially?
I would say consistency, determination, and love for the music.
Thank you. And what a fitting way to end this session here at the Reggae University. So we are going to take a brief break. We will be right back here at 7:30 p.m. with members of Morgan Heritage. This gives you the perfect opportunity to head out of the tent, turn left. You will see iNation books and other items for sale. Check out his stall. Otherwise, keep yourselves comfortable. Do not move, or whatever you do, make sure you're back here at 7:30 p.m. when we will start the next session with members of Morgan Heritage. But for now, please, one more round of applause for our special guest, Pablo Moses.
Thanks. Give thanks. Blessed.